What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to G-Ball Vision. Today I wanted to touch on some of my favorite hard use do-it-all folders. And we can't really have a list unless we include the AD10 series from Cold Steel. Now, they are going to be very similar in a lot of ways, slightly different. The original AD10 is going to have a drop point blade in S35, G10 handles with the triad lock. The AD10 light here is going to not be so light, but what they mean by that is this is going to have AUS 10A steel. You're still going to have a nice thick blade stock. This thing is going to basically be a folding pry bar that is sharpened. You still get the tried and true triad lock. And then this one, instead of G10, is going to have FRN scales, but if you didn't know any better, they finished this FRN so well, it is very reminiscent of the G10. These knives are going to basically, anything that you could do to a pocket knife, these are going to withstand no problem. They have washers in there, so if you're in a dirty environment, they are going to function a lot longer and a lot better than something that is on bearings. And that lock is almost without question the strongest lock in the folding game market. The AD10 is going to roughly be coming in at this very moment of the recording about 120 to 130 bucks, and the AD10 Lite is going to roughly be right around the $80 price point. Now, if you're thinking this is a little too thick, maybe a little too heavy, then another option coming from Cold Steel is going to be the Code 4. S35, nice drop point blade, a little bit thinner blade stock here, but still fully capable, especially with the triad lock here as well. This one is still getting broken in. This was a gift from brother Jamie, so fairly new to the channel, but I know how Cold Steel's S35 works, and I know how good it is. I know how well-rounded the triad lock is, and this is a great option if you're looking for something a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter, not quite as bulky, but still going to have quite a bit of punching power. The Code 4 is typically going to range anywhere from 80 to 100 bucks. It's going to depend on when and what blade shape you choose. There's a drop point, a tanto, and I believe there's even a clip point, but there's definitely a tanto and drop point, and a very formidable knife in my opinion. And as much capability as this offers with the steel and the lock, it is a fairly lightweight knife in my opinion. And then we have two more Cold Steels to talk about. This is not going to be just Cold Steels, but you really can't mention tough folders, do-it-all folders without throwing a few Cold Steels in there, because it's just simply the truth. The AD15 with the Scorpion lock is just an ingenious lock by Demco. The Triad lock is genius, but the Scorpion lock here, the way that it is designed, the more that you squeeze this handle, it's locked up. There's been some confusion I've seen from people that think this is not somehow locked up, but this knife is locked up, solid as can be. But the whole point of this lock is, and this is how this truly works, this isn't like a frame lock and squeezing that lock. This is actually designed with this bar like this. When you squeeze on this handle, the more that you squeeze, in theory, the stronger this is going to be, and you will not have any issues. Now, if you have a light grip down at the tail, this is still going to be ultra strong, ultra tough, no question about it. But the way it was designed, when you squeeze this guy, you are pushing this lock forward. The only way to undo this lock is to pull back on it. So the more that you squeeze on it, the more pressure you put into the tang of that knife, the more solid this is going to be. S35. There's a couple of different flavors, colors, and whatnot. But this thing is an absolute tank and a complete work of art, in my opinion. The AD15 is a must-have in a collection if you are looking for a hard-use knife that is also a unique knife. And once these get broken in, they have extremely good action. You know, not under a camera, but very good action for the way this lock is designed. And you can also get some cool aftermarket parts and pieces for most of these knives. And then we have one final one to bring in. And this one I have really beat on. This is the newest lock from Cold Steel. This is the Atlas lock, and it's very similar to the Shark lock. And the way this is designed is this bar slides up and down this track with a spring, and as the blade opens, this latches into the tang around a stop pin, and it is just very, very solid. I don't know that it's as solid or that I would trust it as much as the Triad lock here, but it has been tested by many. I have done some questionable things with this as well, and I have yet to break this from its lockup. You're getting S35 on this guy as well. Cold Steel does a phenomenal job on their S35. If you're looking at a Cold Steel, OS10A from them and S35 is going to be fantastic. If I had a recommendation, I would go with the AD10 Lite, I would go with the AD15, or I would go with the Cold Steel Code 4 here, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for, you know, premium and strength, then go with the original AD10 in S35. If you're looking for something unique and semi-fidgety, or a lot more fidgety than the previous couple, the Engage is definitely going to fit the bill and still maintain that solid lockup. You have a fingerprint magnet in this satin blade. Cannot be helped. As soon as you touch it, it gets gooey. G10 handles, and the clip is a lot better on this model than, say, the AD10 or even the AD15. Kind of reminds me of a Spyderco clip. The Code 4 clip is also very nice and minimal for the size of the knife. Now, let's get to a couple of knives that are not Cold Steels. Now, this one's been featured quite a bit on the channel, guys. I know that, and there's a reason for that. I have designated this knife as one of the primary knives that I am putting through fairly rigorous testing. The lockup is absolutely solid as can be on this knife. It's sitting right about 40% or so, which in my opinion is absolutely perfect lockup. 35-40%. This thing is just absolutely solid, guys. You're getting 154 cm for the steel. OffGrid does a phenomenal job on their 154. This is coming in at 3 3/4 inches. You have this beautiful gray PVD coating. The Tanto blade is nice and low. Secondary edge is going to be very useful. Very low as well. And then you have this nice straight edge. You have this nice row of jimping that is very useful. Grippy, diamond texture G10. Open construction with internal milling. You have a nice minimal deep carry pocket clip that is not going anywhere. You do have 3 screws holding it in. And for a knife that's built like this, to have the action that this thing does, it's just utterly ridiculous, and it comes in at a fantastic price point, right around $100. And I'm just a huge fan of this knife. It came with a great edge, solid lockup, great ergonomics. It carries very well, very, very well for the size of this knife. It's just great all the way around. If you're looking for a hard use knife, that is not a cold steel, right? This is one of the first companies, one of the first knives I would look at. OffGrid is building some solid designs over there. And the couple that I have had in, I'm getting a couple more. They've all been solid right out of the box. Great edges, great heat treats on their steels, grippy handles, nice and easy to carry, and they're great price points. OffGrid is killing it in my book. Now, I'm going to try and level with you guys. I wasn't planning on, how do I want to put this? I wanted to give you guys some options other than just back locks, triad locks. I wanted to incorporate knives that I know myself have used and tried and tested, and they work and they're solid. And I wanted to give you guys a couple different locking systems opposed to just sticking to the same locking system. Now, this is one button lock right here that I will absolutely trust. I have tested this over the last year. Solid lockup. The Hogue EX01 is just solid as can be. This button lock does not get enough praise. It is, if you're looking for a solid, functional button lock, this is going to fit the bill. 154 cm, stonewash, drop point blade, beautiful edges from Hogue, great thumb studs, a nice big button for your disengagement with a collar around it. You also get a secondary lock for just in case. You get aluminum handles that are very well done, and between the two aluminum scales you have this integrated backspacer because of the way they wrap around. The only thing that may be left desiring is this pocket clip. Although not aesthetically pleasing, very functional, guys. That big spoon there goes in and out of the pocket very easily, and the other thing is, in hand, you do not feel it whatsoever because of that width and the way it's designed. I don't feel it at all, guys. So it's very comfortable, and the way this is designed, it's just ultra comfortable. If you're looking for a fidgetier knife, you know, a more fidgety knife, and you're looking for a button lock that is absolutely solid, the EX01 from Hogue is one that I can tell you that I trust myself. There are a couple that are working their way up, but the EX01 is one that I really trust. This next one, we just did a full in-depth overview not very long ago of this knife, the Spyderco Manix 2 M390 Brown G10, and then we have a Lynch Northwest deep carry clip. This has the Spyderco ball bearing lock, and guys, I have tried to bust this free. Just because I'm not really worried about breaking certain knives at this point. I'm at the point where I want to see what knives are truly built like tanks and which ones are kind of just imitating tanks, you know? And this is certainly not an imitation. This thing is absolutely solid. The way this is designed, Spyderco needs to incorporate this lock on more designs. I don't care if they incorporate it on a PM2 or a Para 3 designs they already have out, but start putting this lock on some more stuff. Now, get rid of these shitty plastic tabs and put aluminum there or anything but plastic, G10 even, but preferably aluminum. They are grippy, but they absolutely suck. And that's why there's an aftermarket for these tabs in a bunch of different materials. But the thing about this knife is you have that extremely strong lock, very comfortable ergonomics on this guy all the way around. It is got a decent blade stock to it for a little bit harder use, and then it comes down nice and thin, this full flat ground blade. Just a great knife, and it's actually started to grow on me even more since I did the full in-depth overview of this guy. It's really started to grow on me, and I think those tabs will be getting changed, and this knife will be starting to get carried a lot more. The lock has really proven itself to me, and the Manix 2 is definitely a keeper when it comes to needing a hard use knife that can kind of do it all. Next up, we have the Artisan Cutlery full-size proponent coming in D2 steel here. This thing is an absolute beast, guys. They also make a more premium version of this knife, but this one in particular has a PVD coated D2 Wharncliffe blade, and it is an absolute hunk of steel. Absolute hunk of D2. You have some big thumb studs and a rear flipper tab for deployment. The thumb studs rocket this thing out. Whether you want to reverse or thumb flick it, it rockets out. And the flipper tab is not bad at all, especially if you give it a little wrist. And the way these handles are set up, you get a very comfortable grip on this. Your fingers kind of tend to land in these grooves and in this indentation, and it's just very comfortable in hand for as big as this knife is. It's very comfortable in hand. Now, it's definitely a weighty bugger, but if you're looking for that hard use kind of do it all type of knife, the Proponent is a great cost, and you're going to have a tough time destroying the Proponent. The Proponent makes even the 8010 look kind of small. This thing is overbuilt to the max, and I think this one often gets left off some of these lists, and it shouldn't, because you have the ability to really poke into items, slice items, and this lock is absolutely solid for a liner lock. We're sitting right at that sweet spot, in my opinion, right about 40%, guys, and trust me, I've beat the shit out of this, and it just laughs. There's no hesitation in the liner. And also, when you buy this knife new, I still have it somewhere, but it also comes with a pin. You know, you can make yourself a little lanyard down here with the pin in it if you are one of them guys who beats the shit out of your knives, or you want to do some questionable stuff with your knife. You can throw a little lanyard on here, put the pin on it, and you have it if you are going to baton this through a log or something. And I have no issues with people who want to have fun with their knives, do some dumb shit. That's completely fine with me, because I'm fairly similar. I don't have that kind of time anymore, but I like destruction. As long as you're not calling a knife junk after you take a hammer and baton it through a piece of, you know, a log and your stop pin snaps or something like that. As long as you're not doing that kind of dumb shit, you know, bad-mouthing the knife after you've done that, I have no issues with you taking your knife out and having some fun with it. Let me know down in the comments, what are some of your favorite hard-use knives? Doesn't have to be any on this list. It can be some that are on this list. Let me know what your favorite lock is, something that you truly trust in, that you have felt that is very dependable, that can do it all, a work knife, a do-it-all type knife. I wanted to give you guys some different variety tonight. We definitely have another list or two coming just like this one on some harder use knives with some different locking systems. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. I always look forward to hearing from you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button too before you head out. If you're new to the channel or you've been here before and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below the video. I would love to have you here. Otherwise, guys, I'll throw up a couple new videos here, and here, and I will catch you on the next one.